What if I told you that the world's most luxurious watch brand was born not from wealth, but from failure, rejection, and a man who refused to give up? This is the untold story of Rolex, a symbol of time, class, and unshakable belief. More than a century ago, in the heart of London, a young man named Hans Wilsdorf had a dream that seemed impossible. Back then, wristwatches were considered unreliable, often seen as mere delicate accessories for women. Real men carried pocket watches. The common belief was that a tiny watch worn on the wrist could never be precise enough to keep time perfectly. But Hans saw the future differently. He envisioned a world where everyone, men and women alike, would wear a wristwatch, not just for fashion, but for performance and reliability. And in 1905, at only 24 years old, with a fire in his heart, he set out to prove the entire world wrong. Hans started a small company with very little money. His business model was simple: import precise Swiss movements to England and fit them into elegant, locally made cases. But there was a huge problem. Nobody trusted wristwatches. People openly laughed at his idea, dismissing it as a fleeting trend. They were convinced wristwatches would never, ever replace the classic, trusted pocket watch. Yet, Hans possessed something they didn't: a powerful, unyielding vision. He knew his creation needed a name that was as elegant and timeless as the watches themselves. He wanted a name that was short, easy to pronounce in any language, and that felt premium. One day, while riding a horse-drawn bus through London, an idea struck him. He whispered a word that would eventually echo through history: Rolex. He loved how it sounded. Simple, memorable, and undeniably luxurious. That single word, born on a humble bus ride, would grow into a global symbol of excellence. But success was far from guaranteed. Just as his business started to gain a little traction, World War I broke out. The devastation was immense. Factories were destroyed, supply chains were cut, and his business collapsed. Import taxes skyrocketed, making his business model impossible. Many would have given up right then and there, but not Hans. He saw this disaster not as an end, but as a new beginning. He made the pivotal decision to move his entire operation to Geneva, Switzerland, the undisputed heart of the watchmaking world. It was a chance to rebuild from scratch, surrounded by the best artisans and a rich history of precision. He believed that if his watches could withstand the chaos of war, the fury of storms, and the relentless march of time itself, then people would have no choice but to trust them forever. So, in Geneva, he made a bold and unwavering promise. Every single watch bearing the Rolex name would be a masterpiece of accuracy, reliability, and durability, built to last not just a lifetime, but for generations. This wasn't just a marketing slogan. It was the core philosophy that would drive every decision from that point forward. He became obsessed with technical innovation. In 1926, Rolex introduced the Oyster, the world's first truly waterproof and dust-proof wristwatch. To prove its revolutionary design, Hans did something extraordinary. He equipped a young English swimmer named Mercedes Gleitze with an Oyster watch for her attempt to swim the English Channel. After more than 10 grueling hours in the freezing, turbulent water, she didn't complete the swim, but the Rolex on her wrist was working perfectly. Rolex took out a full-page ad on the front of London's Daily Mail, celebrating the watch's triumph. It was a marketing masterstroke that cemented Rolex's reputation for ruggedness and reliability. But Hans didn't stop there. He knew that for a watch to be truly practical, it needed to be self-winding. The hassle of manually winding a watch every day was a major inconvenience. So, in 1931, Rolex patented the perpetual rotor, a self-winding mechanism that harnessed the simple, natural motion of the wearer's wrist to power the watch. This invention revolutionized the industry. The combination of the waterproof Oyster case and the self-winding perpetual movement created the modern wristwatch as we know it today. Rolex wasn't just making watches anymore. They were creating instruments for pioneers, adventurers, and professionals. They tested their watches in the most extreme environments on Earth. Rolex watches accompanied the first expeditions to conquer Mount Everest, journeying to the highest peak on the planet. They plunged into the deepest part of the ocean, the Mariana Trench, attached to the outside of a submersible, and emerged completely unscathed. Through every challenge, 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and the rise of cheaper quartz watches that nearly wiped out the Swiss watch industry, Rolex never compromised on its core values. While other brands chased trends or cut costs, Rolex doubled down on quality, precision, and its timeless design. Hans Wilsdorf's legacy was not just a company, but a culture of perpetual excellence. He created a foundation that ensures the company can never be sold, and that a portion of its profits would be dedicated to supporting arts, science, and exploration, giving back to the world that had embraced his vision. The story of Rolex is more than just a tale about luxury goods. It's a powerful lesson in perseverance. It is a testament to the idea that with a clear vision and an unbreakable belief in yourself, you can turn rejection into respect, failure into a foundation, and a simple idea into a timeless legacy. It shows us that true value isn't just about gold and jewels. It's about the relentless pursuit of perfection, the courage to defy convention, and the strength to build something that truly stands the test of time. So the next time you see that iconic crown logo, remember the journey behind it. Remember the young dreamer who was laughed at, the entrepreneur who faced ruin, and the innovator who refused to accept the limits of his time. Because the story of Rolex is a story that reminds us all to believe in the impossible. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more like it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.